episode, we'll be talking to podcasters. Hey, that's me. Check out my interview later. But we'll also be interviewing Heather Zajkowski and Ross Johnson of Sound of Tomorrow. You wonder what tomorrow sounds like? Well, if it did, it would be on their podcast. So check them out. Also from the island, or Grand Island, New York, home of ErieCon, I will be talking to Sal Monaco of the Oracle of Enlightenment. That was an enlightened interview, and I hope that you will be enlightened as well. Check them out. Also, I will be at a future episode of the Oracle of Enlightenment myself, so check them out as well so you can hear your radical geekness. So, I hope you can sit back and enjoy, have some fun. Hello there, this is Bill Horsecutter. This is in the podcasting episode, and I've got members of the podcast Sound of Tomorrow. Can you introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Heather Zajkowski, the babe of the power.
And I'm Ross Johnson, your favorite co-host.
Thanks for having us on. This is great. Radical Geek, woo!
Thank you. And
I'm cheating the camera. I'm not used to being videotaped.
I know, we are absolutely... People don't want to see us. I'm not even sure they want to hear us, but I know they don't usually want to see us.
Okay. Can you tell me what the Sound of Tomorrow is?
Oh, it's a podcast that's really pretty general interest.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, we started out, I think, focusing on a lot of local indie music and things like that, and then we sort of broadened out as we got other, guests and things that wanted to be on the show. I think we do a lot of comedy and sketches and that sort of thing. And that's probably maybe where we're a little different than some of the other podcasts where they just chat. But then we focus on topics. We try to do some tomorrow-themed, sciencey sorts of things. And
all right. And why did you start it?
Well, we were young.
Yeah, we were young. We were so young.
Yeah.
So my story for this is always that This American Life, the public radio program, was looking for a webmaster, and Ross sent me the ad, and for some reason we decided we were going to apply for this job, which is not feasible at all. So we kind of realized before we started the application process that we can't both be webmaster for This American Life for a number of reasons. So then it turned into like, well, we can have our own radio show then. Fine.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we don't care.
Well, wait a minute. Yeah, we can. We can have our own radio show.
Yeah, even back in the long ago time, you had to do it on a wax cylinder, and but it was still you could still get it out there
because it worked.
Right, absolutely. And we don't want to learn
start something and you have this antiquated technology, but we wind up the laptop and we get the cylinder going, and it really works fine.
All right. How did you get the name Sound of Tomorrow?
Oh Lord.
That was all you.
I guess.
That was brilliant.
I don't know that there's a good reason for that. I think we wanted to do something. I think the aesthetic that we had in mind at first, especially, was a little kitschy and spacey and sort of 50s. The future as it looked in the 60s.
Okay.
So it sort of came out of that. I don't know that, and it was sort of a. Yeah. It was almost sort of a. Wow, It seems weird that no one's taken this name before. So yeah, there's no really good explanation except that it was sort of not taken.
Yeah, and it was you who got it. I was like, oh, it's so retro-futuristic. That's perfect, because when you think about those weird old-timey ads with like people dancing around on Mars and stuff, it's like, oh, the sound of tomorrow. And we kind of like that.
All right, and can you explain a little bit what key features you have of your podcast that you do on the episodes?
It's mostly Heather.
No.
Yeah, that's the Heather talking. It's pretty much the key feature for about an hour. It's pretty fun.
Well, I'm loud.
You are loud.
What can you say? No, we usually start off with a skit, then we go into the theme, then we have a little intro. Our announcer, Mike, does a few little different tags for us, which is great. And then, if we've got a structured thing going on, sometimes we'll do a long-form radio play. Sometimes we will be really flaky, we're tired after work, and we will complain about the weather. There's often a weather complaint portion of our show.
There's a weather complaint. We do current event type stuff. We have some recurring themes like our hot picks, which is just stuff we like, and the one-star reviews.
Yes.
One-star review theater.
I like those actually.
Yeah.
The one-star reviews are pretty funny. So.
Yeah, and Reading Corner with Ross.
Yeah. Sometimes we do multi-episode sketches, which do people like those? I don't know.
I have no idea, but we do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, the skits are good.
Okay, and How long have you been doing the Sound of Tomorrow?
Oh Lord. Well, Heather was 14.
I know, I was,
Yeah.
and we're coming up on our 6th anniversary in August.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
kind
so-
of skipped over our 5-year anniversary. We should have done something big, but
Yeah, I think this is it.
yeah, I think we're coming up on
Yeah,
our
we
6th.
weren't quite pioneers. I mean, I don't know when the whole. I mean, podcasting had been a thing for a while at that point, still, but it was still relatively fresh.
We're
There
old-timers.
was still. It was still at the point where we would have to explain to people what that was.
Well, I
Okay.
still have to explain it to people. I don't know if this ever happens to you. It's like, come on, you're 25. You should know what a podcast is.
Yeah.
But-
All right. And how did the podcast evolve when you started till now?
Well, our tech used to be terrible. If you listen back to our first episodes, please don't. The audio quality is awful. We had those, you know those Skype headphones that you would use with the little ear thing? That's what we started with. And we multi-tracked, but it would be like Ross on one track and me on a different track.
Thinking we were getting awesome stereo sound, but then it was just like
It was a nightmare.
we were trying to line them up, so it was like the voice. Yeah, it was a nightmare for those first few episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And then we sort of the next stage was sort of we bought like the nicest, fanciest equipment we could possibly afford, and then didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
We didn't know what any of the knobs did. We didn't know what any of the buttons did. We didn't know what any. So there was sort of a second stage of like, in theory, we should have had great, awesome,
Yeah.
quality, and it all sort of. But we didn't know how to do anything. And then we eventually got to the point where we sort of figured out mostly what the buttons do and all that stuff.
Kind of. I mean, we still don't know everything about it, but we're a lot better sound quality-wise than we used to be.
Yeah.
All right. And what's your favorite episode that you've done so far?
Oh, that's a good question.
You know, I'm always fond of our holiday and Halloween
Yeah, I think
episodes.
I can't think of one specifically off the top of my head, but yeah, we usually do up Christmas and especially Halloween. We usually try to do a big Halloween themed and make it as like fun and gross and
Yeah,
crazy as we
crazy.
possibly can.
Okay.
And
So those,
I love it when you do your Ross Johnson Private Eye.
oh,
We've got to write more of those because he's got this great private eye voice, and so we've got to write more like detective things so that you can do that.
sure. So yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but yeah, the Halloween episodes are
Yeah.
they're my favorites to do. Hopefully, they're the most fun to listen to.
Yeah, and I do like it when we do like a big radio play or a whole bunch of skits or something. That's really fun. Just if we bring in friends or if we just do it ourselves, it can get kind of hilarious when we're trying to do 3 voices a piece because it can be easy to get confused.
Well, it's hard to do on a weekly basis, but I always
Yeah.
like to make it as much of a variety show as possible. And sometimes we just can't do that,
Right.
with every single episode. But I like to have as much different, if we can have music and a guest and a sketch and some current events and some, as much as we can throw into any given episode.
Yeah.
Those are the most fun for me.
And I always figure if we're having fun, then people listening should be having fun because hopefully it'll translate.
Yeah, and if they're not, then we're having
Well,
fun.
at least we're having
Yeah,
fun.
so
Yes.
somebody's
Yeah.
getting something
All
out of it.
right. And if there could be anything you want to do in the future for your podcast, what would you like to do?
We were actually just talking about maybe branching out into video.
We were.
Yeah, not to.
We're indeed, and here
not looking
we
to be
are on
competition. Yeah,
video.
see, this is our audition.
We'll see how it comes out.
Yeah, we've had some ideas along those lines. I think we haven't had a ton of guests lately, and that's just beginning of the year. It's been hard to schedule people. It's been hard to schedule us. So I don't know if that's something different, but I would in the future. I'd like to see us get some more
Yeah.
guests back and which we
Yeah,
haven't done
bring
for a
some
while.
more guests in. I would love it if we could get some more people in to play live music. That doesn't happen
Yeah,
very often.
yeah,
and
actually.
It's so cool when we have somebody who has a guitar and plays some songs. It's really, really cool.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, thank you.
and thank
And,
you.
Yeah, thank you.
So Ghost infected Frank. He passed it on to the other guys, and I got it from his corpse. Right.
Hello, Echo. How are you feeling?
Did I fall asleep?
For a little while.
Previously on Heroes.
You had to go and be the detective, didn't you, Matt?
I'm not an aggressive person, but
Oh man, there's
I
just
admit
way
it.
too much on all
I like
these
killing
channels.
but only in game.
Everybody lives Rose.
In your dreams, nutloaf.
Bite my shiny metal hat.
Sometimes I get visions.
Walter, what are you doing? What you learn, son?
I wish there was some way to find out what's really worth watching.
There is.
What? Who? What was that?
Tuning into Sci-Fi TV is the viewer's guide to genre television.
Where is that coming from?
With its spoiler-free quick reviews and water cooler and the spoiler-filled in-depth back porch discussions, Tuning into Sci-Fi TV is the only resource fans need to know what's on, what's good, and what's coming soon in science fiction and fantasy television.
How did you get into my house?
Join Kevin, Wendy, and Brent each week for the latest in genre television.
I'm calling the police.
You can find Tuning into Sci-Fi TV at tuningintoscifitv.com.
No, seriously. How did you get into my house?
I have here Sal Monaco of his podcast, The Oracle of Enlightenment.
Yep.
Sal, tell me about your podcast and how did you get started?
Well, we started off back in '94 as a radio show on Buffalo State Radio, their WBNY. And then near the last, I was there for like 10 years, I think. 11, I think. And then they started podcasting us while we were on that station. And then I had graduated and still been kept on the air for several years, but they finally said I had to go. And so we decided to try podcasting on our own. And my good friend Richard Wicca created Think Twice Radio as a means for people like me to do our own podcasting at his place, the Home of the Future. And so we moved, after about a year of hiatus and one failed attempt at doing our own podcast, we went to work at Think Twice Radio and brought the Oracle of Enlightenment back, and it's been there ever since, or at least, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. And I love the show. It's been a big part of my life for several years now, almost 17, 18 years. And it's one of the best things I have to be proud of, actually.
All right, thank you. And how did you come up with the name Oracle of Enlightenment?
We were just looking for a catchy name. I mean, like I said, it started off as a college radio station, and oracles are people that bring people knowledge, and enlightenment was the name of a Doctor Who episode. So, actually, the Oracle was one of the villains on Doctor Who too. So,
all right. So please enlighten the viewers and tell us more about some of your co-hosts and how they got involved.
Well, my co-hosts were longtime friends of mine who have been involved in the fandom community, and some of them were people who I had just come into contact with through other projects, and I brought them in. Now I have this thing where I take people from my company, Beyond the Mainstream Productions, and I put them on the radio to do their interviews, and then if they're really good, I ask them if they want to rotate as a co-host. So we do it once a month now, as opposed to once a year. Once a week when we were on WBNY, and so we do it 12 times a year, and so I bring in rotating co-hosts, so who are either friends or people from my company who happen to be good at radio, and I do a lot of taped interviews, I do a lot of phone-in interviews, I do a lot of live in-studio interviews, and I also bring in some of my actors and do audio plays as well from my universe that my films take place on, Beyond the Mainstream.
All right, can you tell me about Beyond the Mainstream?
Beyond the Mainstream itself is the company I created several years ago so I could do my media projects on my own. We started with a film called Beyond the Mainstream, the movie, and after taking a year to film it and an attempt at starting a public access TV show where I think we filmed like 3 episodes, and we're doing it online. It didn't, neither project turned out the way I wanted it to. And we kept the Oracle of Enlightenment going, but the Vortex of Enlightenment, which was my TV show, we decided to not do public access, and we were just shooting segments of it and putting it on our website. And then we got involved with some other projects, like the audio plays, and starting to film a TV series based on the movie. But because of some issues, the movie was stalled for about 4 years. But I was finally able to find somebody to finish it, and we wound up taking a chunk of it and making a short film out of it, as well as making a short film using the bloopers. And so Beyond the Mainstream, the movie is going to be premiering soon, along with the short film, which is called Life of a New Age Singer, and the bloopers reel, and a couple of music videos that my friends made, and some live performances of the actual original music in the movie, which I'm mostly circulating on the fan circuit. And then the Oracle of Enlightenment was brought in under the umbrella, and my new TV talk show, The Vortex of Enlightenment, is going to be, we're making a second run at public access and putting it on the internet. Plus we're going to do a web show on our website called Look Beyond. And we're doing short film / TV episodes to try and make a TV series out of it. And so TV series / short film series to go with the feature films, plus the audio plays, plus webisodes, which all take place within the Beyond the Mainstream universe. Plus we help run conventions, do promotions for toy and collectible shows and movie premieres, and basically whatever we can do that's fun. And eventually we want to, keep moving up and hit the big time. We're working on the second film, which is the TV film. It's called Welcome to My World, again with an original title cut, and it's going to hopefully premiere either near the end of this year or next year, depending on how fast we can film it. And I have about 12 episodes of the TV series in the can that need to be finished. We've done about a dozen audio plays that are on my radio show, The Oracle of Enlightenment. They're mostly vignettes, though, maybe 10 to 15 minutes long, but I'd like to do some longer, more in-depth ones. And The Look Beyond is going to basically show off the 10 years worth of footage that I shot of several different things, conventions, interviews, all kinds of stuff.
All right, thank you.
Did that answer the question?
Pretty much answered that question. Let's go. Let me give you. Lastly, can you please tell us some of your most memorable moments on your podcast and why?
Memorable moments. When I interviewed Kiefer Sutherland, he was a great person to interview. He was a very nice guy, and he actually pushed aside some bigger media to give me my interview because I treated him like a person, and they just stuck a camera and a microphone in his face. And one of my mentors at Channel 7 actually came up and asked if he could sit in on my interview, and that was a big thing for me. And another memorable moment, I think, was we were in Toronto, and I was about to interview a celebrity in a restaurant, actually. And a couple of really big media, including the Canadian Sci-Fi Channel, I think it's called Space, came up to try and interview this person. And again, they stuck a camera right in his face without even asking him. And he pushed them aside and said, "You guys can wait. Sal asked me first," and he came and sat down with me and did an interview. And I thought, wow, he's pushing aside the Sci-Fi Channel for my little college, or the Space the Imagination Station for my little college radio show. So yeah, that felt good.
All right, and just one more thing here. Tell the people where you can find your shows.
The Oracle of Enlightenment can be found on thinktwiceradio.com, and my link is thinktwiceradio.com/Monaco, MONACO, /Monaco.html, or you could just go to thinktwiceradio.com and look for the Oracle of Enlightenment with my picture on it. And the previous episodes, about a year's worth of episodes are there. And all the previous episodes are going to be up on my personal website, which is, and I'm going to turn them into audio movies with picture slideshows at thevortexofenlightenment.com, vortexofenlightenment.com, along with the episodes of Look Beyond and the podcast of the public access series, the Vortex of Enlightenment, which is Vortex is going to focus on live performances and interviews in the area, whereas the Look Beyond will focus more on all the footage that we've shot over the years of things.
All right, Sal. Thank you.
Thank you.